Vital and Bernadette Zomo to lead us in opening prayers.
Good morning, everyone. Let's pray. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Maliki yawm. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Let's believe and pray. Our Lords and God, we approach your throne of grace this morning. We are thankful for the gifts of life, and we are thankful for the congregation which we met here today, the public benefit organizations, Lord, and we thank you even for the regulator. And we thank you, Jehovah, that you're going to bless this organization as they continue to offer essential services to the citizens of this nation. Lord, we want to thank you for this event, and you ask of your presence to be with us during the deliberations. We thank you for this nation, we thank you for the presidency, and we thank you for the First Lady. And we ask of your blessings to be upon us, the spirit of excellence and the spirit of leadership to be with her. We thank you, we worship you, and it is in Jesus' name we do pray and believe.
We may kindly take our seats. Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mama Rachel Ruto, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, Principal Administrative Secretary, Beverly Opora, the Chairman, Public Benefit Organizations Regulatory Authority, PBO, Honorable Mwambu Mabonga, the Director or CEO, PBO, Dr. Laxmana Kipto, distinguished development partners and stakeholders, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, Your Excellency, now to kick us off by inviting Dr. Laxmana Kipto, OGW, CEO, PBO, to give us some welcoming remarks. A warm hand for him.
Ruto, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, the Cabinet Secretary and Minister of Internal Security
start with our first principal partner, Trocare, to be represented by Shital Rana.
It is a pleasure and a privilege to be here this morning, and I thank the PBO Regulatory Authority for convening the space and for continued support to civil society organizations in Kenya. My name is Shital Rana, and I am here representing Trocare as a Global Director for Partnership and Localization. Trocare is an Irish NGO that works in partnership with local and national organizations across contexts in Africa, Central America, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. We work to tackle root causes of poverty and injustice while responding to crisis. Our work is grounded in a clear principle that decisions and resources should remain as close to the communities as possible. Our role is to support and work alongside local and national organizations rooted in the communities and leading this work. In Kenya, our engagement is with Charter for Change. It is a platform that local and national organizations, alongside international organizations to advance locally led development and humanitarian processes. This includes collectively advocating for quality funding flows to local and national organizations, partnerships built on respect and equality, and leadership of local and national organizations in key decision-making spaces. And as we know, in Kenya, the role of the government is critical as a key stakeholder in this process. PBORA's engagement in Kenya with the C4C Charter for Change Working Group has been important in this regard. Your participation and opening in the last 2 annual meetings of the is a reflection of this. Local and national, who is a part of the work group, as well as international organizations, have appreciated the support. This has contributed to a more enabling environment and a deeper connection between PBORA and local and national organizations. We hope to continue this collaboration and build on this engagement. In closing, I would like to say that Trocare remains committed to this effort, working alongside local and national organizations and their networks for meaningful service to communities. Thank you very much.
A better round of applause. So let me then take this opportunity then to quickly welcome from SHOFCO, we have the Chief Program Officer, Mr. Mark Laichen. A round of applause as he comes.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Your Excellency, Mr. Cabinet Secretary, PBORA leaders, and all protocols observed. First, I just want to say SHOFCO is so proud to be a Kenyan PBO. We're a homegrown organization. We started as a CBO in Kibera, became an NGO, now a PBO, and now really from that platform have been on the world stage. Our CEO, Kennedy Odede, won the 2025 UN Nelson Mandela Prize for SHOFCO's work and example globally on work in informal settlements, but only because of being able to be part of this sector in Kenya, and a well-regulated PBO sector as part of that. SHOFCO is now in 40 counties across Kenya, with millions of Kenyans as SHOFCO members, and we're now working and skilling more than 100,000 young people per year, as well as other areas. But as we do this, we know that SHOFCO, like all PBOs, need to partner with government, and we need government support. We need to partner so that every young person who we engage with has access to an ID, and we're so grateful that the efforts the government has taken to make that more easy. That every young person can get access to SHA benefits, that every teen mum can get back to school and get the education that they deserve, that every sexual violence case that's identified in the community, maybe PBO or civil society, is prosecuted in court. And so we welcome support, partnership with PBOs here, but also we're so grateful and look forward to keep working hard with the government on this together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you can see that as we talk about the public benefit organization space, it's about community development, it's about partnership, and that brings everyone together, the government, the community, and the rest. So we want to thank our partners for that. Thirdly, we are honored then to have from WWF, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Jackson Kiplagat. A round of applause as he comes to address us.
The First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, our Cabinet Secretary in charge of Interior National Administration, the Chair and the CEO of the Public Benefits Organizations Regulatory Authority. Allow me to stand. Good morning. We are here today because we are enjoying the privileges and the opportunities granted by the government of Kenya to contribute to national development. All these public benefits organizations are supporting and delivering national priorities where it matters most, on the ground with communities and also at scale. At WWF Kenya, we see the power of this every day through the partnerships that we've been able to put together with government, other public benefits organizations, communities, and the private sector. We are restoring forests in our water towers, we are securing our wildlife corridors, and working with communities to turn conservation into livelihoods improvement. And our legacy reminds us that this is possible. Many years ago, in the 1960s to the 1970s, WWF helped to acquire 51 hectares of land around Lake Nakuru National Park. And this is what was donated to be what it is now, Lake Nakuru National Park, which is about 177 kilometers square. We recently have supported about 6 counties to be able to put together their spatial plans, laboratories. This is what public benefits organizations can do, and out of the enabling conditions provided by government. So let's use this week to be part of our commitment to deepen our collaboration, to align with national priorities, and to deliver lasting impact. At WWF, we give you as government and partners commitment to be able to advance this to ensure that we achieve our national ambitions. And Your Excellency, we have been part of this 15 billion strategy, and we are pleased to have supported the Mama Doing Good to be able to develop its strategy as well. Thank you very much.
and host communities in delivering impactful services in protection, for refugee protection, livelihoods, self-reliance, and social cohesion. All these are geared towards supporting sustainable solutions in the counties that we operate. In the wake of the global climate change, our waste management fair recycling initiatives seeks to restore the environment by supporting thousands of waste pickers, both refugees and host communities, to transition from informal and what has been considered as unsafe work into dignified, structured livelihoods. It's about income to needy families, safety and recognition through a decent wage, and also making the surroundings and the living spaces better. Our financial inclusion programs aim to build inclusive financial systems and support growth of entrepreneurs among refugees and host communities across Kenya to achieve greater self-reliance. As I conclude, I want to say that the power of collaboration is critical. Strong partnerships between the government of Kenya, donors, private sector, and civil society form the foundation of our community's sustainable solutions. This is the spirit of the Shirika Plan, and we together can achieve the desired outcomes. As DRC, our global services and services in Kenya, in countries like Kenya, and we reaffirm our commitment to stand with Kenya in building inclusive systems that protect lives, strengthen livelihoods, and together ensure no one is left behind. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Asanteni sana.
Applause, and we want to sincerely appreciate the diversity of our areas of concern and collaboration. What is constant in every speech that we get here is a question of where do we bring the collaborative efforts of both the government as well as the public benefit organization space. And in that regard, I'm happy when you talk about inclusivity, because that seems to be the theme. If you look at the economic agenda of the Kenya too has been a question of inclusivity, whether financial, whether representation, and what have you. And in that regard, therefore, allow me, therefore, to then give this opportunity to Manyoito Pastoralist Integrated Development Organization by the head of program strategy and partnership, and I had gotten the name, whatever the name wrongly at first. She goes by the name is Anne Samante. Karibu. A round of applause as she addresses us.
Your Excellency, Mama Taifa, Ms. Rachel Ruto, the Cabinet Secretary, Interior and National Administration, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, and the PS, and all protocols observed. Good morning. And yeah, initially it was pronounced wrongly, but I understand. So I'm here to represent a local organization, Manyoito Pastoralist Integrated Development Organization. We were established in 1996 and then registered as an NGO in the year 2000, and over the years, the small organization that was born in the heart of Kajiado County grew from, that particular area to the national level, where we are now having a number of interventions in a number of ASAL counties in Kenya, and also went beyond Kenya to also the regional level, where we also, partner and at times deliver programs at the regional level. And one of our backbones, or the reason why we came to be, is because of the land issues when it comes to our communities. And the land for us is not just land, it's our livelihoods, it's our we needed to support our communities in securing their land. And we thank the government of Kenya because at one point we got this very progressive piece of law, Community Land Act of 2016, And while the implementation has been slow, but this has been a piece of law that has supported our communities to register our lands as the only sure way to security of land tenure for our communities. And secondly, also, we do a lot of projects and interventions around livelihoods. For now, we all know that we are facing a global crisis called the climate change. We are all facing impacts of climate change. And when you get an opportunity to be in the global platforms, one common narrative is that Africa has the lowest adaptive capacity. And the question will be, if Africa in general has the lowest adaptive capacity, how about the marginalized communities that face firsthand impacts of climate change? And so our interventions around climate change, around livelihoods, with women at the center, because we have women as a central pillar in our interventions for the reason that women face double marginalization. Women are more vulnerable whenever any challenge comes up. Even here, in case anything happens here, the first people holistically, if I can say, both, their capacities in policy intervention. I just talked about Community Land Act of 2016, and it gives the reason I call it beautiful, it gives a provision for women to own land for the first time in a very, somehow, very patriarchal. Then, of course, we do a lot of policy intervention. A historical moment was last year, 18th December, when we led indigenous peoples, pastoralists, hunters, and gatherers in this nation in launching, with our president, in launching the national policy for ethnic minorities, marginalized communities, and indigenous communities. And again, we value so much partnership. We are at a time in
self-financing. I therefore wish to invite from the Cooperative Bank, the head of commercial banking, quickly, Mr.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mama Rachel Ruto, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, the Chair, Bora, the CEO, good morning. And we also wish to applaud you for the good work that you continue from Scope Bank. We are honored and we are proud to be associated. As we kick off this PBO week today, we stand at the threshold of a new dawn. This week is not just a celebration, but it's a powerful call to celebrate impact, connect voices, as well as collaborate for transformation under the visionary framework of the PBO Act. As Cooperative Bank, we are proud to walk with you this journey and are committed as a partner of the PBO sector. For decades, I must say that PBO has been at the forefront of driving meaningful change across Kenya while complementing what the government does. And even youth and women as championed. Today, through our strategic partnership with PBO, we are deepening these ties to ensure a sustainable community transformation. We have seen the power of collaboration firsthand. Through the Cooperative Bank Foundation, we have partnered with numerous PBO and donor agencies to improve access to quality education, support the youth, women empowerment, and respond to crises such as drought. We have co-funded financial inclusion initiatives, as well as worked along PBO to make the program sustainable. Scholarships to empowering the youth through agribusiness and renewable energy initiatives. This partnership has created a lasting ripple effect in the communities across the 47 counties. Banks in Kenya with a vast network, we offer tailored financial solutions specifically designed for PBOs and as well as NGOs in specialized banking products, efficient donor fund management, local and international payment solutions, and innovative financial models that support project sustainability. We also provide capacity building as well as technical assistance, flexible funding options to the PBOs to be able to scale their impact while maintaining a strong governance and compliance. Together, we are connecting voices that matter and collaborating for real transformation. Unite to build a more inclusive.
Apart from financial accountability, I think one of the expectations as we have and mark this Public Benefit Organization Week is the expectation from the collaborative efforts of both the government and the sector players. There will be an expectation that regulation will be two-way. There will be self-regulation as well as the place of government. And that can only happen if you have good both accounting and auditing mechanism. Therefore, I seek to then welcome from ISPAC, the Director of Professional Standards and Sustainability, presented by CPA Catherine Asemit. Karibu. A round of applause as she speaks to us.
Her Excellency, the First Lady, and protocols already established. Good morning, everyone. So I'm here to speak on behalf of ISPAC, which is the regulator of the accountancy profession in Kenya, established under the Accountants Act. And I want to congratulate PBORA for the great milestones they have had. We've had a very good collaborative engagement. And the key points of engagement is mainly on ensuring transparency and accountability, especially in reporting. The first front, of course, is on financial reporting, where we have been able to create a transparent and uniform way that's going to assist all entities in terms of reporting within that sector. We also have been able to work very well in capacity building and training, and also to handhold entities. As a start, what I'd like to say is that this area has been a bit unclear in the past, where there have been different reporting frameworks, but for now, between ISPAC and PBORA, we are going to see much more, and including enhancing transparency efforts and enhancing accountability, which therefore will help to unlock capital flows. Also to champion the message around sustainability, as has been mentioned by some earlier speakers. We want to see how we can create a more sustainable economy and also more sustainable organizations so that we're able to leave impact even for future generations. Thank you so much. I think I'll stop it at that, and just to congratulate PBORA once more for the great engagement and also the great organization.
A round of applause. More importantly, I think we acknowledge that we are a body of nations, so Kenya does not stand alone, and Kenya is among the other distinguished League of Nations within our global community. And in that case, we have played an important role as a government or as a country over the years within the UN system. And we are proud to say that as a country, being host to major UN agencies, the partnership reflects even when it comes to within, to the kind of aspects as well as the collaborations that are done within this particular public benefit sector. So today we are also honored to have, which will be our last principal partner to address us today. And before I could invite the representative of UNDP, I just wish to notify our distinguished participants that indeed we are live on NTV and all the YouTube platforms. So we are happy to ensure that this particular occasion is given enough coverage across the Republic. So let me take this important then opportunity to welcome our last speaker within this category of partners. From UNDP, we have Julius Corredo to speak on behalf. Karibu.
Her Excellency, Mama Rachel, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, all distinguished guests, I too want to ride on the already established protocol and say good morning. My name is Julius Corredo, and I am representing the Deputy Country Representative for UNDP, who could not make it to this occasion. UNDP reaffirms its long-standing partnership with the government of Kenya and the civil society, particularly in the collective action towards translating the PBO Act, which has been one of the most tangible collaborations with the PBO Regulations Authority. It is indeed an honor to join all of you today. This moment is significant, not just because of what we are launching today. This is the PBO sector report, but also it represents the transition from aspiration to action, from uncertainty to clarity, and from parallel efforts to concerted and structured partnerships. Kenya's journey towards a modern, enabling, and accountable framework for civil society has been long and complex. The Public Benefit Organization Act was enacted in 2013, yet for over a decade it remained unoperationalized. During this time, the civil society continued to grow, to innovate, to deliver impact, but within a regulatory framework that was increasingly outdated, misaligned, and with the evolving needs of the sector. So UNDP saw the need to invest early in systems, and therefore recognizing the central role of a capable regulator, UNDP, together with other development partners, particularly through one of its civil society support facility called Amkeni wa Kenya program, we made a deliberate choice to invest consistently and systematically to strengthen the institutional foundations for the NGO Coordination Board. Now, this support was anchored in a dual-track approach. First, supporting the regulatory reform and the civil society engagement by focusing on strengthening the institutional strategy and planning, advancing financial reporting standards to enhance its transparency and accountability, supporting the ICT modernization as well as digitization, but also the internal capacity for change management. But at the same time, facilitating structured dialogue between the regulator and the civil society. So these were not short-term interventions, but they were long-term investments in building a system capable of sustaining reforms. So UNDP supported the civil society in terms of advocacy, research, consultation processes, and sustained momentum towards the operationalization of the PBO Act. So now the transition of the PBORA from readiness to action when the act was finally gazetted in May 2024, the transition of the Public Benefits Organization Regulatory Authority did not begin from zero with our earlier investments. It began from a position of readiness. So that today's launch of the PBO regulations therefore represents not just a legal milestone, but the activation of a system that has been deliberately built to function, anchored in constitutional values, international modern understanding of civil society as the development partner. At its core, the PBO Act is not only a regulatory instrument, it is a partnership framework, and it signals from transactional regulation to collaborative governance, from fragmented engagement to structured dialogue, from parallel efforts to shared responsibility. And it affirms the strong state and the strong civil society are mutually reinforcing. So for 2025 is equally significant because it grounds the engagement in evidence, enabling better policy decisions and more strategic investments and stronger accountability. So the PBO organizations are critical partners in advancing Kenya's bottom-up economic transformation agenda because they reach the most underserved communities, they strengthen livelihoods. But our full potential of this sector can only be realized through strong, intentional, and sustained partnerships. And effective partnerships really go beyond coordination. They should be co-creation, shared accountability, and collective impact. What UNDP would like to see going forward is that we deepen the partnership. That this week is not only a moment of celebration, but it's also a call to action. That UNDP remains committed to walking this journey alongside the Public Benefits Organization Regulatory Authority, civil society, and the government, as well as partners in the private sector, because ultimately, a new dawn in action will not be defined by policy alone, but by the strength of our partnerships and the credibility of the institutions, and through the impact we create through delivering for the people. Thank you very much, Asanteni sana.
So let's give a round of applause to all our stakeholders and partners who've spoken. Let me therefore take this opportunity then to wrap up by then having the honor of inviting the CEO as well as the Director General of the Public Benefit Organization Regulatory Authority, who's been the principal planner and the person who's made this event to be able to give his highlights for the New Dawn in Action. Karibu, Bwana CEO. A round of applause as he addresses us on his quick presentation. Asante.
Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mama Rachel Ruto, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Internal Security and National Administration, Waziri Kipchumba Murkomen, the Chairman of the Board of Directors, Honorable Mambu Mabonga, all the BBOs present, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for coming for this momentous occasion. Your Excellency, the theme of this, the New Dawn in Action, celebrating impact, connecting voices, collaborating for transformation under the Public Benefit Organization Act, was very deliberate and has been outlined by the speakers before me. It's important because we've worked with the BPO sector, the journey for the last 1 year. And it's the making of a new dawn so that Kenya is able to sustain a robust, vibrant civil society with PBOs cutting across all facets of development. We are in a transformation period where we are changing from non-governmental organizations to public benefit organization. And Waziri asked me this morning to explain the reason why is that. And it's important because all the non-governmental organizations before have been fragmented in a way, and they were not regulated in a way. You find someone out there comes up with a proposal and goes out there to seek for funds using the public and appealing to donors that if you give me some funds, I will go to a certain remote area of Todonyang and give services to women, empower women and youth. And at the end of the day, those are the members of the public. And I think the framers of the act early on in 2012, 2013 realized that that amount of money, once you've been given as an organization, it ceases to be yours and it becomes public money. And that's why then that organization ceases to be your own non-governmental organizations, then it becomes a public benefit organizations. And it follows, therefore, that if you are entrusted with public money, then you have an obligation to account for it. And that's why the PBO will require you at the end of your financial year to give us your annual report so that we are able again as an authority to inform and advise government as required by the law to inform how much the sector has contributed. And you will see in my presentation actually how much this sector contributed to development in the last 2024-2025 financial year. We are moving from evolution from multiplicity of fragmented and coordinated regulatory regime to the enactment of 2013. And ladies and gentlemen, we are moving from promise to action. His Excellency the President in the UN Summit, at the UN Summit 2024, and I know some of you are here who were in that conference, promised the implementation of the PBO Act 2013, which it had been in abeyance for over a decade. And this idea say it was a promise was given and a promise that has been delivered. And I quote the President said, His Excellency the President said that in that conference, we are determined to reinvigorate our development agenda by harnessing the organizing and advocacy power of the civil society. Kenya remains steadfast in its commitment to a strong partnership with an empowered civil society to advance our pursuit of a sustainable, just, and inclusive future. End of quote. And by that, he gave a directive for the implementation of the act. And from then on, as the UNDP representative has said, when we came into office last year, and that's where we began, when that directive came from the President, we started from a draft. And most of you are aware that we harmonized the two drafts. And on 5th of June last year, most of you were there when we were launching that draft at KICC. Views. out of our annual reports, we are able to authoritatively say that the sector contributed 246.7 billion, the total funding that the economy of the country. Simpigie makofi hiyo. And this is out of compared to 14,287 which are registered. Last year alone, we've been able to register 685 BBOs, and this cuts across all the sectors. The primary focus of the areas that the PBOs are engaged in include health, education, children, environment, and agriculture. Notably, something to note, Your Excellency, is that all that funding, 76% of the total funding is sourced from North America and Europe. Meaning that our local partners, we need to up our game. We need to locally source and BBOs, because we still have a long way. And just a snapshot that of the sectors, that the most 10 in terms of billion is that the leading PBO activity sector is to health, followed by education, children, environment, relief and disaster management, water and sanitation 6, agriculture 7, welfare, governance. The top 10 is the refugees. All that will come to 610 billion. When it comes to better, when it comes to sector contribution, out of the bottom-up agenda, the PBO's contribution, they contributed 42.35 billion for universal health coverage, 4.48 billion for MSME, 8.09 billion for agriculture and food security, 461.92 million for dignified housing, 314.59 million for digital super highway. And you will realize that actually this sector contributes positively to the economic agenda of this country. And that's why the BBO authority is looking forward for more collaboration and partnership. And the authority is there to be an enabler to the sector rather than being an hindrance to the sector. And we want to thank the civil society and the BBOs for the forward look the last year. When it comes to the workforce trends, we know that all the BBOs provide also a huge employment to the sector. And in the financial year, this sector employed 60,698, and most of these are Kenyans working in this sector. So most of the people, as even you've seen today, most of the country directors most of them are Kenyans. And so, Your Excellency, this is a sector that it has a lot of potential, and we are looking forward for more compliance from the PBO sector, and we are looking forward for more collaboration, even including the private sector, the banking sector, so that we are going to have a robust PBO sector. Thank you, Your Excellency, for listening to me. There is a new concept that we have been having a discussion with the PBO sector, and that is the issue of monitoring of illicit flows, financial flows, and we've been having a conversation that Kenya is on the gray list, and the agency with the Financial Reporting Center, FRC, to ensure that within the PBO sector, we do not become conduits of terrorism, financing, and illicit money. And to Excellency, allow me to give us a small brief. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
The Chief Guest, Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mrs. Rachel Ruto, allow me to ride on the protocols that have already been established. Good morning. It is indeed my distinct honor and privilege to join you this morning at what I believe is genuinely a significant gathering, and that one not merely to regulatory compliance, but to a shared So indeed today is a defining of engagement, greater collaboration, and a celebration across the sector. I also dare say that the annual report opportunity to take stock of where we are, assess the progress made so far, as well as discuss on how to deal with the emerging challenges in the sector. We all recognize the pivotal role of PBOs in shaping a country's economic trajectory, particularly in the sectors of social justice, health delivery, humanitarian response, civic governance, community resilience, etc. Their contribution is not peripheral. It is central to achieving inclusive and sustainable development. And indeed, the PBO Act recognizes this vital role by creating an enabling legal framework within which that work can be protected, legitimized, and held to account. We also know that to achieve this role, most NPOs rely on donations, particularly international donations, and therein lies the risk or the vulnerability for terrorism financing abuse. Indeed, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, through its typologies, have shown that in other PBO sector has been abused and has been used as conduits for TF financing. Besides the funding model, which most PBOs have adopted, we also recognize that a number of PBOs operate in areas proximal to Kenya's Somalia border or in areas proximal to conflict regions. And again, therein lies the vulnerability, that's the risk by exploitation or for exploitation by malevolent actors. So as we embrace this new dawn, let's also take cognizance of those vulnerabilities and the existing vulnerabilities in the sector. And it is indeed a call or an opportunity to strengthen the integrity, accountability frameworks for sustainability of the sector. Yes, we also acknowledge and appreciate that majority of the public benefit organizations operate with integrity, dedication, and genuine commitment. And however, globally, as I've indicated, there is growing recognition NPOs. In addition to that milestone, the country has also or did conduct a terrorism financing risk assessment, and the findings of that assessment were shared both with the public and private sector and the private sector. And that risk assessment, in a nutshell, showed where the vulnerabilities, or rather where we have vulnerabilities as a country, and the mitigating measures which we need to put in place. The country has also reviewed the regulatory and oversight framework, and it is now aligned with the FATF standards. In addition to that, the FATF standards require countries to identify organizations which fall within the definition of the FATF definition of non-profit or non-profit organizations, NPOs. And as a country, we are happy to report that that has since been done. The definition in the NPO Act or the PBO Act does indeed conform with the FATF standard. We have also, in collaboration with PBO, developed a risk-based oversight and monitoring framework, which is currently being implemented. What FATF requires is for the national authorities to monitor and identify the NPOs at risk. And after monitoring or after identifying those PBOs at risk, to implement measures that are proportionate and that are effective, but that also do not lead to unintended consequences. In other words, that do not harm legitimate activities of those entities. Chief Guest, I would also like to share that as of today, we have made great strides in addressing some of the action plans in our action plan with FATF. We are only remaining, or the action items that are remaining are 11. There is still one item touching on NPO sector, but I'm confident that in our next reporting cycle with FATF, we will be able to address that item, or that pending item related to the NPO sector. The Financial Reporting Center, whose mandate is to ensure compliance with international standards and best practice in the AML CFT framework, and being the focal point of AML CFT measures in the country, has worked with PBO and other stakeholders in order to ensure that the NPO regime that we have complies with those standards, with the FATF standards which I have alluded to. But again, let me state that legislation is not enough. On technical compliance, we have done well. We have a good legislative framework, and today we are launching the regulations to complete that legislative framework. But that is not enough. The FATF requires effectiveness. That is demonstration that the law and the legal framework, the institutional framework that is in place does work and actually produce the expected outcomes. I note that this week's agenda, therefore, includes a session on Talk to Your Regulator, navigating FATF risk monitoring for NPOs, getting oversight rights, and that will be on Wednesday. And I think this will provide us with an opportunity to further discuss the milestones that we have achieved as a country and some of the areas which still require some work. So while we have made significant progress as a country in enhancing the AML CFT CPF framework, again, as I've said, we still have some work that needs to be done. But we are optimistic that with the collaborative framework, the collaborative arrangement that we have with PBO and the other stakeholders together with the PBO sector, we should be able to put in place or to enhance that regulatory framework and have a regulatory framework that safeguards our financial system, that safeguards our economy, and that has the respect of not just Kenyans, but also the international community. The sector indeed does extraordinary work. And the FRC's job, together with the other stakeholders, is to ensure that your work as a PBO sector is protected from exploitation, from abuse, and from overregulation that so often follows when distinction between risk and suspicion is lost. That distinction is what this gathering is all about. And I'm glad that we are having this conversation today. So to our CS, sector leader, and PBO, as we launch these regulations, together with the report, FRC stands ready to support you in publicizing, in outreach, and continuously enhancing the risk monitoring framework. With those few remarks, guest of honor, First Lady, I thank you. Asanteni sana.
Your Excellency, as I will be calling the next speaker to sit down, I want to thank you very much because you are one of our stakeholders. At the authority, we know that you are our stakeholder number one, and we want to thank you because when we reached out to you to create this occasion, you really supported us because we know your heart, about your empowerment efforts to women and children. A new dawn to us as the authority is when women and children from those remote countries are able to get empowered, to get their livelihoods. It is when a refugee child in Turkana come, they learn together with a Kenyan child and they get a bright future. It is when we are able to conserve our environment well and adapt to the new climatic conditions. It is when pastoralists are able to take their children to school. And all these organizations are here to make sure that, to ensure that we are in the new dawn. As we transit, we want to thank you. Next week, for all our BBOs in the coast region, we will be carrying out sensitization program for the FATF in the counties of Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale. Join us during the thematic sessions on Wednesday. And for all other BBOs in the regions, Kisumu, Turkana, Nakuru, Eldoret, Garissa, and Mombasa, will be there on Thursday and Friday for the PBO week. With those very many remarks, I want to thank all of you for supporting us, and allow me now to invite our chair, Honorable Mambu Mabonga, to give his remarks and continue the program from there. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, our able DG. Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mama Rachel Ruto, Mheshimiwa Waziri wetu wa Interior, Mr. Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, our Principal Administrative Secretary, our DG, invited guests. Is it morning or afternoon? Good morning. Good morning. God is good, and all the time. Your Excellency, I will not go to figures because our DG has taken quite some time to take you through where we've come from and the journey we've walked to be where we are. From the beginning, I want to appreciate you, Your Excellency. I know you are very busy. To find time and be with us the whole of this morning is not something we can take for granted. Mheshimiwa Waziri, this journey with your peers, we are where we are. And you know very well that time when this act was passed, it was in the 11th Parliament. That is a journey of we are getting almost to 15 years. So we need to ask ourselves, what was the problem? From the time the President made a promise during campaigns, he made a commitment, which you've been told. We remained passive for 1 year. But from that time, we had to see where we are not doing well. As Waziri, when you came into the office, your predecessor had done already the groundwork, and you enabled us to move with speed to get where we are today. Today, when we are talking of new dawn, when we are talking of transformative leadership during this transition, in leadership you'll be told that transformation begins with yourself. For you to transform this sector, it's not about who is at the head. It's not about which minister is in the office. It's a personal responsibility. Even to transform this nation, it's a personal responsibility. Because transformation begins with internal shifts. You ask yourself some questions, whether what I'm doing is right, whether what I'm doing for my neighbor is right. Transformation begins when you take serious steps on a daily basis actionable steps that are visible. And that is why today, Your Excellency, we are here with a new phase because we purposed to walk those steps. Transformation comes with daily commitment. And when we meet here, Your Excellency, they say that feedback is the best breakfast for every champion. We sit here, we listen to our stakeholders because they're giving us feedback. They are telling us what they're doing. The framework that we have before us today, it's a collective responsibility from each member who is seated here and those ones who are in our regions. So it's a document that we own, all of us, and it's something that is going actually to enlighten some of our partners outside there. Your Excellency, I must confess, I've had time to walk around, and the PBOs are almost in every village. The kind of impact they have done to Kenyans is amazing. The few people who are doing wrong things, that is why we have this kind of guidelines. As a regulator, we will not be there to be your hindrance. We will ensure that we complement what you're doing as you complement what the government is doing. Just to finalize, Your Excellency, there is something I always, every morning I read the Bible. And interestingly, today I read a scripture and it touched me. And when you came, that was the first question you asked us. Where are ladies? We are talking of gender balance. We received you lined up, men alone. But now we are a bit sensitive. At least we have a lady on the front line. So thank you, madam, for coming. And you see, when a question comes from a higher authority, that does not mean that the authority doesn't know the response. But it's something, it's a question that you need to reflect about. That is why God had a conversation with one in the Bible called Cain. And he asked him, where is your brother? And the response was very cynical. As we sit here, you've heard that 76% of what is affecting the lives of Kenyans in the positive way is coming from donors. I'm asking Kenyans who are seated here, where is your brother? What kind of response can you give? It's a sin not to do what you can do, yet you are in position to do it. It's a sin. And the Greeks will say that you've missed the mark as a leader. So in position you are, regardless of the position you're holding, please don't miss the mark. Ask yourself, where is my brother? Are you the one who has buried your brother under the ground? Are you the one who is making your brother cry from the ground? And you have the response to do it. You have the power to do it. You have the authority to do it. If you stretch your arm, if I may ask, how much do you need to bless somebody? How much do you need to touch a life? Ask yourself, where is your neighbor? How is your neighbor doing? How are your juniors doing? How are you doing with your workers? And I come to that point that I must appreciate you, Bwana DG, for your consultative approach of leadership. I must appreciate you because this journey without proper leadership at the head, this is a very volatile sector, Your Excellency. And we need people who are responsible enough, ready to learn, ready to listen, so that we move this sector to better heights. I have no doubt that today, even we exit with my DG, our heads will be high, having achieved something for this sector that they can be proud of. If I call the next speaker, Your Excellency, I kindly request you just to allow me, request our directors of the authority who are here with us today to stand up, just to acknowledge the good work you have been doing together with the management, the director board of the authority, here are our directors, and Your Excellency, you can realize we are gender sensitive, much more. I think it's 50-50. You can take your seats. So as we've made a humble submission through, Your Excellency, through the CS, a brother who has been very supportive. If we digitalize all the programs that we are having now today and the regulations that are before us, because everything that we are sharing here is actually on our website, we will be on another scale. And I know it's within your purview, my brother CS, this is something little, and from here as you stand, maybe as you come to the podium, you are going to make that commitment so that the management will have its time to roll out the next steps that are remaining. With those few remarks, the next speaker was actually the PS. I know you've seen on the program, but we have the EPO representative of the PS, who is also the principal administrative secretary. I will request you, madam, to come and give your remarks, and thereafter invite the honorable minister. May God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, our chairperson, Your Excellency, Mama Rachel Ruto, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, and our chief guest today, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, our Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the entire Public Benefits Organization Regulatory Authority Board and its fraternity, led by the chairperson, our DG, Board of Directors, and staff, our development partners, leaders and representatives of public benefit organizations present here today, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Beverly Opora, Principal Administrative Secretary. I am here to represent Dr. Raymond Omolo, the Principal Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration, during the launch of our PBO Week, the Public Benefits Organization Sector Report 2024-2025, and PBO Regulations 2026. And I bring his warm regards as he's engaged in an assignment within the country. Your Excellency and our Cabinet Secretary, allow me to begin by thanking you for your leadership and for presiding over this very important milestone for the public benefits organization sector. Your presence here today affirms the importance of an inclusive development agenda where government and civil society not only engage meaningfully, but work together. The journey of the PBO Regulatory Authority marks one of the most significant governance reforms in Kenya's civil society space. That moment began to take full effect during this administration and through His Excellency the President's leadership that saw the government operationalize the Public Benefit Organizations Act 2013, ending over a decade of delay and ushering in a new regulatory authority. I expected an applause there. Today, the Public Benefits Organization Regulatory Authority stands as a modern regulator that is evolving from a relatively low visibility institution into a more responsive, accessible, and increasingly credible regulator within our government framework. The sector report and the PBO regulations that you shall launch today give practical effect to this vision. Ladies and gentlemen, as we enter this new dawn, I wish to reaffirm the commitment of the State Department in supporting the full implementation of the PBO framework. We shall continue to provide the necessary institutional support and coordination required to ensure that the sector operates in a predictable and enabling environment. To the authority, I congratulate you. I wish you a successful PBO Week 2026 and encourage you to sustain the momentum with our partners in this public benefits sector. However, I urge you to maintain the spirit of engagement that has brought us this far. To all our invited guests that have graced this occasion, a new dawn, we are very grateful. And to Your Excellency, Mama Rachel Ruto, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, asante sana for accepting to grace this auspicious occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, our Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, to make his remarks, and thereafter invite Her Excellency, the Chief Guest, to give her keynote address and therefore launch the reports. Our Cabinet Secretary. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Beverly. Your Excellency, Mama Rachel Ruto, who is the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, the Principal Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, the Chairperson of the Public Benefits Organization, the Board of Directors, the CEO, all the invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I think it's now almost afternoon, or is it somewhere there? I'm speaking at some point. I have, it's very challenging when we are all having a conversation about a specific subject. So we will, because it's the same discussion today, so some repetitions here and there, but some thoughts to think about some issues. But also, this is not my day. It's the day of Her Excellency to be with us, to give us her guidance, and to share wisdom with us. First, let me say that this gathering is a very important national platform and brings together government, the public benefits organization, and the development partners at a defining moment of reform and renewal, otherwise known as a new dawn. Your Excellency, we are deeply, deeply honored to have you grace this event today. Your passion and involvement in the public benefits sector is both long and very impactful. Your vast knowledge and insight will be immensely beneficial to this forum. So we are very happy. Thank you for taking your time to be here, and thank you for growing one of the indigenous organization that is a grassroots organization that has left a very powerful impact in the rest of our country. So you are actually a very befitting guest today. Even if you were not holding the office of the First Lady, you would still have been a very befitting guest to be here. And maybe let me say at this point in time that there are so many people who associate this sector with the theme of governance and political action and mobilization. But we saw the statistic today. The importance of this sector is such that it has, in one financial year, it has attracted 241 billion shillings. That is huge. And if you look at the distribution, you realize that the face of the sector is actually 2% of the contribution. Because we've put matters of governance, political action, protests, and so forth to be the face of this sector. But the reality is that there are men and women who work in this sector quietly, implementing programs in very remote places of Kenya, changing lives of children, changing lives of women, attending to refugees, people who are attending to communities that don't have water, and they're doing it quietly, and they are rarely celebrated. Sometimes I sit with colleagues in political circles, and they ask, when an award is given to a Kenyan by CNN or by an international body, a UN body, and they are being celebrated and the media is splashing, then people ask themselves, and where was this person? The truth is that men and women who are sitting in this office, many of you are doing a very good job, quietly and without making a lot of noise. And so part of the things we must celebrate in this report is that it brings to fore the work that you have been doing. And I hope during dissemination, we will actually emphasize the importance of the financial contribution, a sector whose financial contribution to the country, I'm told that the money that is spent in Kenya out of the 241 billion is 214 billion. And people who are employed directly in this sector, direct employment, are 67,000. So you are as serious stakeholders in government as the rest of us who are serving also in the different departments of government. I do not, let me say this, I don't want you to tiptoe around as if you are begging from government. You are partners. You are making a contribution. You must occupy your space, and this is your space. You must occupy with the confidence that deserves being assisted. And let me say that since we run a ministry that has presence across the country and whose departments coordinate government efforts in every part up to the locational level, I want to request all of you who are in this sector, please, as a matter of right, engage the county commissioner, the deputy county commissioner, the chiefs, the assistant chiefs, and from my office, I will give a directive to all these structures of government to make sure that they support the public benefits organizations that are serving the people of Kenya. So today's event, therefore, is not merely ceremonial. It marks a significant milestone in the operationalization of the public benefits organization's legal and regulatory framework. I commend the Public Benefits Organization Regulatory Authority for convening this forum and for its ongoing role in guiding the evolution of the sector. Congratulations, Mr. Chair. I know your passion. When you spoke here, I thought you were going to call for an altar call. You spoke like a bishop. I know that was your other life. That is your other life. Not that was. That is your other life. And I want to thank also the CEO, who has just come in office, he's a few months in the office, for his enthusiasm and passion. Your Excellency, the CEO, because we grew up together, went to Sunday school and went to camps and all that together, he thinks that, so I find him all the time harassing me in the corridors of my office about this sector every other day. And I have reached the stage where the Bible, there's a verse in the Bible where someone was harassing his friend. I've reached a stage where I said, give him what he wants so that we can have peace in this sector. And one of those very close conversations we're having was about digitization of this sector to make it more transparent and for people to access services digitally. I must confess here that as a result of the pressure that it has put in us, we have had a conversation with Treasury, and in the new financial year, we should have financial support to make sure that that sector is digitized. The theme of this year's PBO is A New Dawn in Action, Celebrating Impact, Connecting Voices, Collaborating for Transformation under the PPOA Act, is both timely and instructive. It reflects a sector that is entering a more structured, accountable, and coordinated phase of development, especially following the implementation of the Act. The President's commitment to this sector is evident, and it, as you heard, the President last year, the other year, that's 2024, gave a directive that we must implement this law. Remember that during the campaigns, and I was part of that process, we promised boldly that we were going to implement this act. People thought it was mere promises, but there is no promise that this government has done that has not been kept. And even if there is one that has not been completed, it's just because of the time, and time will ensure that we, in the period that we promised, we'll make sure that everything is implemented. The public benefits sector is extremely important for our economy and for our governance. Our country is the beacon of democracy in the region, partly because of the contribution of the public benefits organization. And I must confess here that in my past life, I was part of that sector. The smaller percentage of 2% of the governance, I was among the people who are taking government to task about the work they do. And I see Churchill is very happy with that because we were together. And so because of that, it is important to recognize that the governance sector in Kenya, including the new constitution, was achieved because of the contribution of the civil society and the public benefits organizations. The government recognizes the important role of the BBOs continues to play in Kenya's development. Across country, they are delivering essential services, supporting vulnerable communities, advancing governance, human rights, and responding to emerging challenges such as climate change and public health risks and safety concerns. The government acknowledges and values these contributions. Indeed, many of these interventions are directly supporting bottom-up economic transformation agenda and complementing the public sector programs. This partnership is not optional, it is essential. In fact, the question I ask myself is that, do you think that should government alone be the one which has responsibility to build a country? I think that is not true. Many countries in the world are built by private sector, government, public benefits organizations, and they make these kind of significant contributions to this, to our nation. So a strong partnership, therefore, which is anchored in a strong legal framework is important. The PBO regulations we launched today provide that framework. They bring clarity to registration, governance, reporting, and accountability. They define the standards expected of all actors and establish a predictable and transparent environment within which the sector can thrive. With this framework now in place, our focus must shift decisively to the implementation. Let me say two things. One is that we were asking ourselves, why is it that many of these organizations, almost 80% of these resources are from outside the country? How come it is not from ourselves? I think that is the next phase. We need to have a sector that is trusted by private sector, by business people, by rich people. You know, we have in Kenya so many well-endowed, successful people. They retire and they have wealth and they're wondering how to contribute to society. The only thing we do is to call them for Harambes. And Harambes are not sustainable. In fact, I keep telling my friends that these Harambes we go to Changia you for school fees, for bursary, for those people who have more resources, business communities, business people, companies, and so forth. If this sector is properly organized, they will establish endowment funds, scholarships, and so forth, and they can be able to meaningfully give to society in a way that is transparent and recognizable by the people of Kenya. Therefore, let us ensure that this sector can attract funding from our own citizens and make it sustainable to support programs beyond just what we are doing as government. So the implementation is very, very key. And we have said that by the deadline for ensuring that all these organizations are properly registered was shifted last year from 13th of May 2024. Now, therefore, it is our responsibility with the launching of these regulations that by 13th of May 2025, all of us should have registered and be compliant with these regulations that were not given by government, but we gave it to ourselves through a robust public participation process. Public benefits organizations must rise to the occasion. Compliance is no longer a matter of choice, it's a matter of responsibility. It is in this new era, compliance must be demonstrated through sound governance, financial accountability, and timely reporting. These are very important foundations that makes the stakeholders, the person who receives the money and the beneficiary, and the person who is giving the resources, we can attract far much more resources globally and locally if we are able to make sure that this law is properly implemented. The PPOA sector report, which we are also launching today, provides valuable insight, as I've said, and I don't want to repeat what has already been said. I'm trying to run away from some of the comments. Let me say that the challenges, Your Excellency, of a modern society are complex and interconnected, and addressing them requires coordinated, evidence-based, and collaborative approaches. So this PBO Week 2026 must therefore go beyond dialogue. It must deliver results. By the end of this week, we expect clear alignment of the implementation of PBO regulations, strengthened partnership across government and PPOs and development partners, concrete commitments to compliance, accountability, and measurable impacts across the country. Let this week serve as a platform not only for reflection, but for action. Let it demonstrate the impact of the sector, deepen connections among stakeholders, and generate practical solutions that extend beyond this forum. The framework is now in place, the directions are clear, As the responsibility is shared, what remains is execution. As government, we reaffirm our commitment to supporting a PBO sector, the PBO sector that is vibrant, transparent, accountable, credible, and aligned with national development priorities. We will continue to provide enabling environment while ensuring that the standards are upheld. I want to challenge the chair and PBOA, being a challenging and combining P and B and V, especially for some of us who went to a primary school where there was only one P. For both Benjamin, Pinsen, and everybody. There was only one P. But I just want to say that in this PBOA, PBORA, I think that's why everybody is running to call it PBORA. In the Public Benefits Organization Authority, I want to challenge you. Don't look at regulation as punitive. Don't make it look like it's punitive. It is facilitative. So I don't want at the end of 13th, we are told, oh, some organizations have been closed because they did not comply. We should go further and ask ourselves, could we have helped them to comply? Yeah, instead of saying, we punish them not to comply. We should change our attitude to, these are our stakeholders. How best can we help them to comply? Not looking for ways of ensuring they don't comply. That's very negative. We must go positive. I have started such organization myself. Some failed on the way, others are still surviving. So I know it's not easy for someone to put together a legal framework, get a board, help people to run it, and so forth, get even an office. So it's important that we walk the journey together to help these institutions comply. The authority as a government agency has a greater role to protect public good, including safeguarding the property of the PBOs, especially during this, the PBOs property must be protected during this transition period because we do not want to run into a risk of losing property in the course of shifting the new. For example, the authority should take an interest in asset inventories of the various organizations it has in its register, as well as the consolidated baseline data from those entering the new regulatory umbrella. I call upon all stakeholders to embrace this new phase with discipline, integrity, and shared sense of purpose. This is not just the beginning. This is not just the beginning of PBO Week 2026. It's the beginning of a new standard for the sector. As I said, we lead, for example, by example. The chair also emphasized we lead by example. I want to encourage us to go out of our way and raise resources locally and encourage people to become serious investors in this sector, in this public sector, by supporting the people of Kenya. But also even ourselves, let's lead by example. I was challenged one day during our graduation from a human rights class that, you can't tell people that you want to respect human rights. You are teaching people about labor rights, human rights, but in your house, you are mistreating your house help, you are mistreating your watchmen, the people who support you. It must lead by example. People must see that if you are a human rights defender, it must show in how you treat your driver, you treat your, security people, it must start from the basics. Otherwise, it's useless to go and stand there and call yourself a beacon of democracy. And even in your own home, you don't exercise an iota of democracy. Your wife cannot even speak in your presence. It must, and you're saying you are women empowerment. It must lead by example. Sorry to say all these things in the presence of Our Excellency. This is not my day. I will look for my own day so that we can come and have a conversation with you. But I am very excited. This is a sector I know, I am familiar with, and I'm excited about it. And I think going forward, all of us including me, now that having been blessed to serve in such positions, as we go towards retire, it's important to have organized structures that we can give back to community even when you are no longer holding public office, then in a meaningful way, away from these just hard work arambes that we do around the place. It's now my distinct pleasure to welcome Her Excellency, the First Lady, to officially open the PBO Week 2026 and launch the PBO regulations and the annual PBO sector report 2024-2025. 2024-2025. Tupigie makofi, Your Excellency. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. We may be seated. Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, Moses Mabonga, Chairperson of the Public Benefit Organizations Regulatory Authority, distinguished leaders from the government, the PBO sector, private sector, and development partners. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. There's a quiet kind of work that does not always make headlines. It happens in remote villages, in informal settlements, in classrooms, in clinics, often far from the spotlight. It is the work of restoring dignity, of reaching the unreached, of standing in the gap where systems are still catching up. And more often than not, it is the work of public benefit organizations. Today, we gather not just to recognize that work, but to affirm its place at the very center of our nation's progress. I bring you warm greetings from His Excellency, our President, Dr. William Ruto, who greatly values partnerships that strengthen our development ecosystems and uplift our people. He joins me in commending the PBO sector for its unwavering commitment to service and in recognizing the critical role you play in advancing our nation's priorities. It was under his leadership that the implementation of the Public Benefit Organizations Act 2013 was actualized on May 14, 2024, fulfilling a promise not just in policy, but in principle, that those who serve the public good must be enabled, protected, and empowered. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this year's PBO Week, A New Dawn in Action, celebrating impact, connecting voices, collaborating for transformation, is timely, because a new dawn is not declared, it is demonstrated. It is demonstrated in the systems we build, in the partnerships we nurture, and in the lives we change together. Public benefit organizations are not peripheral actors in development. They are central partners. They are often the first to respond, the last to leave, and the bridge between policy and people. PBOs do not replace government, they reinforce it. They do not compete with communities, they empower them. And that is why the full rollout of the PBO Act is such a significant milestone. The PBO Act provides not just a framework for regulation, but a foundation for trust. Because where there is clarity, there is confidence. Where there is accountability, there is credibility. And where there is collaboration, there is scale. This is how we move from isolated impact to collective transformation. As we advance the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we must recognize that sustainable development is not achieved in silos. It is achieved when government, PBOs, private sector, and communities move in alignment. It is achieved when we see partnerships not as an option, but as a necessity. It is achieved when we safeguard the integrity of the sector itself. And indeed, as Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. That is the spirit that must define this moment, because no single actor, no matter how powerful, can deliver transformation alone. Because even as we celebrate, we must remain vigilant. The strength of the PBO space depends on transparency, compliance, and the shared responsibility to protect it from misuse, including the very real risks of abuse for unlawful activities. In this, regulation is not a barrier, it is an enabler of legitimacy and long-term impact. Ladies and gentlemen, behind every program, every policy, every partnership, there is a life touched. A child who goes to school, a mother who accesses healthcare, a community that gains clean water. These are not statistics. These are stories that are the true measure of our progress. And as William H. Gates so wisely said, not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. That truth speaks directly to the heart of public benefit organizations, because your impact is not only in numbers, it is dignity restored, hope renewed, and futures reshaped. I have seen firsthand what happens when partnerships meet purpose, when institutions come together, not just to fund change, but to work with communities. The results are not temporary, they are transformational. And that is why this week is important, because this is not just a week of exhibition. May the good Lord bless you. Thank you.
A round of applause again, ladies and gentlemen. We now invite you down here, Your Excellency, together with the Cabinet Secretary, PAS, the Board Chair, and the CEO, as we witness the launch down here. Remember, we are 2024, 2025. The rest can flank Her Excellency. Down. Are you ready? Are you ready? On the count of 3, 2, and 1. Wapi makofi. Yes, and the Public Benefit Organization Sector Report 2024-2025 is now ready. Makofi, tuongeze makofi tena, makofi tena. Very well. And now I request the CEO to hand over the copies to the First Lady and the other guests for a photo. Let's have the CS and the pass on the side. On the left side. Let's have the chair on the right side. And also the CEO on the right side. Yes, that way. Tusonge nyuma kidogo tafadhali. We may take our seats, the rest. Haya, wapi makofi? Thank you. Your Excellency, there are a few partners who would like to receive copies from you. Allow me to call them very fast, starting with Julius Coreto, UNDP, followed by CPA Catherine Asemate, ICEPAC. Please come and pick your copies. Please face the cameras. Next, we have Shital Rana and Mark Laichena. Please come and, just all of you just come and pick. The entire team. Yes, they're here, they're coming. All of them. Including Simon Zioka from DRC, and Samaneto, Mpido, and Bernard Osoro, ICEPAC. Asante, ukichukua unaweza rudi. Yes. Please come and flank behind all those representatives. Please join in. Tusonge nyuma kidogo tafadhali, media, so that we give them, you may... There's no gender. Wait. Asante, tuwapigie makofi. Asante. Your Excellency, we are concluding with a gift. We have a gift. CEO has a gift for you. Tumpe nafasi. The rest you may retreat. There is a gift for Her Excellency. Tuwapigie makofi. And thank you very much for being generous. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, let's clear so that we may have the national anthem as we conclude. The national anthem.